For online content creators, the unavoidable subject of 2021 has been
Marvel Snap custom cards. That's the unavoidable subject that has been on everyone's mind in 2023. Today we're going to look at some of them. I hope you enjoy. I'm your host, D, also known as MTF Doom, and today we're doing something special. People in my Discord have uploaded custom cards, and I love that. It's been happening for a while, but I finally have enough that I feel comfortable making a whole video on them. Full disclosure, some of these are not even Marvel characters. One friend of the channel, Grackleflint, of Building a Deck for Grackleflint fame, hosts a custom RPG campaign, some like a D&D campaign, but it is superhero themed, and he has made art for all of his characters. So we've actually morphed them communally into Marvel Snap cards. I've worked on some of these. The other really big contributor besides me and Grackleflint is a person named Shazanana. I assume it's like Shaz Banana. He has done a lot of work. I'm going to try to point out exactly which ones are his, unilaterally rather than us working on them communally. But he's done a ton of work on making these customs, and he does a really good job. I'm going to link his Twitter down below in the description. You can find more custom cards at there, and he, for what it's worth, also I believe on Twitter focuses more on actual Marvel characters. So if that's your thing, if the customs that are non-Marvel characters don't really pique your interest, his Twitter would be where to go to find more of what you'll see at the sort of second half of this video. So we're gonna start off. It's not this button's not working. I don't know. Oh, it says my Streamlabs says this button's disabled because not enough people are subscribed. All right, so you could fix this technical difficulty by hitting it's a red button down below. It says subscribe, and then it worked. Thank you. Awesome. So we'll get into it. This is the this is the first one. This is obviously a custom. I mean, I say obviously. If you're completely oblivious to Marvel as I am, this could be a Marvel character. Why not? Lightbringer. That sounds like a Marvel character, but it isn't, for what it's worth. This is a Grackleflint special. This is his art. Lightbringer is a character from one of his campaigns. This character has light-based abilities. I love the praise it 420 praise the sun motif going on. Huge fan. Honestly, a lot of Grack's art I like better than the default art of Marvel Snap. We talked about the upcoming cards and how some of them have art that's really starting to tickle my fancy, but I really like this stuff quite a lot. So it's a 2/3, Lightbringer, 2/3, ongoing. Locations are not revealed to your opponent until the end of the game. So full disclosure, this is Grack's art, but I kind of came up with this one, this ongoing. I really like the idea of the inverse Uatu kind of. Also, because Scarlet Witch is so good, something like this. I don't know functionally how it would play out, right? Obviously, on turn 2, you could play it, and the third location wouldn't reveal, but, maybe your opponent could suss it out. I assume the effect would still happen, right? So it wouldn't be completely impossible for your opponent to, figure out what was going on, but, if it had negative power, it wouldn't show that to your opponent until it flipped up at the end of the game, right? But for something like Monster Island, I assume it would have to give them the monster. I don't know how you could get around putting a 9, maybe they go to play 3 cards there, and then when they go to play the 4th, it just doesn't let them. That could be interesting. I don't know if that's too intrusive and too game breaking, but I just thought a card like this would be really cool, and from what Grackleflint described, that would be in line with what this character could do, right? You blind your opponent. They can't see what's going on. All right. Then we got Cyrus. a 4/6. On reveal, move all opposing 3-cost cards to this location. This card loses 2 power for each card moved this way. This is a throwback to the fact that I said nothing moves 3 costs. I incorrectly said that in a video recently. This is kind of a goof like on that, because stuff already moves 3 costs, but Cyrus moves 3 costs as well now. Now we finally have something that can move 3-cost cards. Finally. So yeah, I was getting goofed on with this one, but I really like this effect. I think the stats could be higher. I think the stats could be 4/8, and like, it's like the downside of, cause it's like Polaris. Polaris is slightly overstated, right, at a 3/5, but and so we can infer that they think moving a 1 or 2 cost to Polaris's lane is a downside, and obviously it can be, but it can also be used as an upside. It's the same thing here. I think a 4/8 would be perfectly reasonable. You know, it beats like 1 3 cost, right? Like, so so say this moved Polaris. No, actually it doesn't beat Polaris, but most 3, like the default 3 is like a 3/4. So this is like a 4/6 that ties the default 3, but also interrupts your opponent's plans. But also sometimes you play it on turn 6 and just like yoink all your opponent's stuff. And then like, if you did that with Magneto, very often Magneto will lose that lane because you've pulled so much stuff if you're playing him alone. But this offers you the ability to still play a 2 cost on top. I like that this card isn't so pushed. Like I said, I think it could be a 4/8 and just like play it if your opponent missed a 3 and it's kind of just like a Crossbones, and that's fine, but also has the utility of like yoinking stuff around in interesting ways. I like that it's not so pushed. I think a lot of custom cards, there's this anime hero mindset of like, I'm gonna make this the best card ever printed, without consideration for the fact that like it still has to be playable. It has to be a fun experience for everyone involved. I think this hits that pretty well. This character was called Spectrum, and we already have a character called Spectrum, so this one is Spectrum, no relation. 3/7, when your opponent plays a card here, shuffle this and that card into your deck. So yes, this adds your opponent's cards to your deck, which is something you can't really do in paper games, which is cool. Other than that, that is like quite a big downside, but just like Titania and Maximus, it's a downside that you can play around in an interesting way. Well, honestly, it's not even really that interesting. I find this downside more interesting than Maximus. I'll say that. And Titania. Like the Maximus being a 3/7 that really doesn't have any downside is kind of frustrating a lot of the time. This is the same way, like, except that there's more of a chance that your opponent will be able to do something about this, right? If you have priority and your opponent like sniffs this out as like one of your turn 6 plays, they can try to play into the lane with it to shuffle it away. You know, they can give their like a 1 cost to you, shuffle their 1 cost plus this back in on turn 6 and end up winning, which is something that like they couldn't have done with Maximus. I also like that it can shuffle, like, I don't know, Mjolnir. That's probably too cute. Like being able to shuffle Mjolnir into your deck and then use it for your Thor. Like nobody actually cares about that. Maybe this could even be shuffle both into your opponent's deck to mess up like Lockjaw stuff, but this is a decent hit off Lockjaw. Overall, I really like it. Again, I like that the downside is something you can actually play around on all turns of the game, but that with like interesting play patterns won't really come into play. I think we might have, I think we have maybe 2 more customs. Shakti, 3/3, on reveal, spend all your remaining energy, give this card +2 power per energy spent this way. So this ends up being kind of like, what's her name? Kitty Pryde. Remember when I was like, Kitty Pryde isn't good, and everyone's like, D, you're an idiot? That happens a lot. This is kind of like that, but worse. This is the card that I thought Kitty Pryde was. Like, oh, it's just like an energy dump that gets like +2 power per energy you put into it, but with a bigger, you know, less of a downside at base. Like, there's times where you just have to play Killmonger, even though he's not going to actually kill any Mongs. There's times where you're going to have to Shakti as just a 3/3, but that's better than times where you have to Kitty Pryde as just a 1/0. So there's some interesting stuff. Additionally, you can dump more than one energy. Like, if you have just quite an awkward turn, you can dump more than one energy in, and then if you have ways of gaining more energy or of reducing her cost, you can get more value out of this than you might with just like a vanilla creature. So all those things add together to make a very interesting card. Oh, and then it's this effect, because I guess Shakti can produce extra arms made of energy. So this is like her energy, this is like her making extra sets of arms to fight more people with, which is cool. This is another custom. This is Grak. I'll tell you when we get, you'll probably notice, but I'll tell you when we get into the custom cards that aren't actually like customs. They're less custom. Oh, here we are. We're there. We've gotten past it. I thought we had one more Grak card. I might have to find it and edit it in at some point. Okay, this one is more Shaz than anything else. This is completely Shaz. Okay, so follow him on Twitter for stuff like this. So I guess Abyss is a real character from Marvel, and that's what he focuses on. A 2/2, when a card on your side is moved here, this card absorbs it and gains its power. So it's like Hulkbuster, but kind of in reverse. So stuff that you want to move multiple times is maybe not as good with Abyss, right? Like stuff like Human Torch. You can end it in this lane and then, free up some space. But he did mention that this is more for the multiple man deck, right? That because multiple man, the problem is that you can end up kind of filling your whole board with 2/3s. It's like, okay, Sentry could have done that too, or Sentinel could have done that too, rather, not Sentry. And it's just not that good. Like a bunch of 2/3s aren't that good. So Abyss can just keep eating the multiple man cards and keep growing, and that's more interesting as a game plan of how do you win 2 lanes? Well, you win one of them by constantly feeding multiple mans into Abyss, and then you win the other lane via Heimdall or something. But I really like this effect. I think, as we talked about with the upcoming cards, the move deck needs something. I don't know if this is the thing that would save it or what it needs, but it needs something, and I'm glad that a card like this is on someone's radar. Though he doesn't design for the game, this is a well-designed card. We got 8 Ball. I love anything with negative power. Huge fan of anything with negative power, just to start off. We got a 3/3, 8 Ball. On reveal, at the end of this turn, shuffle the power of all cards revealed this turn except this one. So you can try to high roll. So it's it's like the 8 Ball, like the cue ball hitting the 8 Ball and the pool balls all launching all over the place. This looks like a really old character. I like this. I wish more Marvel Snap used art like this. Friggin' Jack Kirby ass art. There's a severe lack of old comic book art in this game that I really appreciate that he used this one. I love this effect. I like that you could still low roll and just shuffle your own card. If you try to play 3/1 costs and your opponent played a 6 on turn 6 and you played this in 3/1s, those could all shuffle amongst themselves, I think, is how this could work. If it forces everyone to change, then you would win that shuffle always, because they'd get the power of one of your 1 costs and you'd get one of their 6s. But it could still not be in the lane you needed it to be in, right? But if it doesn't force the shuffle, if it just randomly assigns each card, if they all the powers of all the cards played this turn go into a pool and then get randomly assigned out of that pool to a card, I think that's how this would work. So you can get your own power back, but if that's not accurate, he can fucking say it to my face in Discord, Shaz. But I assume that's kind of how it works, that there's still a chance that you could just not get obliterated by this card. It is really high variance, which isn't always fun. Great in a negative deck, which is always fun. But I like that a card like this exists. I think this is an accurate power level. You know, that's quite a tempo loss. So you really do have to like high roll with it or play it in an interesting way to get the most out of it. But I'm a big fan of this, at least conceptually. I kind of feel like if it got implemented, I'd probably be pretty salty about it pretty often. I might even make a channel dedicated to people losing 8-ball high rolls, but conceptually, I really like it. We got Bullseye. So Shaz sent these in, and I was like, friend, Bullseye is just like a reveal. Like, I just did the upcoming cards. Bullseye's on that list. He has a card. It's going to come out. And he was like, God damn it, I put so much work in. And he really did, so I included these anyway. And I like this card better than the theoretical Bullseye that has already been spoiled. So Shaz envisions Bullseye as a 2/2. When you play a card here, next turn, draw a card that costs 1 more. So Bullseye, as we saw, was a 1/2 that always, next turn, you will draw a 2 cost if there's 1 left in your deck. This one, you play on 2, and then if you play a 3 cost here next turn, you'll always draw a 4, right? And so it guarantees that if you use all your energy on one big play, you'll always be able to curve out the next turn. But it also means that you can do things like on turn 5, you can play like a 1 cost there if you have the 2 that you really need. You can play a 2 if you have like a 3. Basically, like, you can build your deck in interesting ways that can play more like silver bullet type cards that you can try to fish out with this card. I also really like that it doesn't exactly counter Daredevil, but they have a really interesting dynamic going on. They're both 2/2s that give you info about your next turn. Oh, you know, like, it's not exactly 1-to-1, but it's enough that I'd be really happy with the card printed as is. Also, complete flavor fail that Bullseye can pull Daredevil out of your deck in its current iteration. In the one that's actually going to come out. Play Bullseye on 1, Daredevil's your only 2, you get Daredevil. Awful. Terrible. No, I like this iteration much better. That's why I've included it. He also just put in a bunch of work. Check this out. He made 2 variants also. Like, those are really cool. So check out his Twitter. That's it. I thought we had one more. I think somewhere I do have one more. There we go. All right. So we have, this will be the last one. Red Penna, 4/3. On reveal, copy the last on reveal effect your opponent played. So it's just Absorbing Man, but for your opponent's stuff, and it never like, Absorbing Man, what, has to be the last card you played? I think that's accurate. That might just be Mystique. I think Absorbing Man is if the last card you played had an on reveal, this does that. This one is a little more lenient. It's the last on reveal your opponent played. So once they play an on reveal, this will do something, but you do also want to time it out to actually doing what you want it to do, and it can be interacted with. It's obviously like, 4/3, same stat line, just an interesting riff on the Absorbing Man idea, and one that I think might even see more play than Absorbing Man. Maybe not. Absorbing Man is already hard enough to use, and you have to build a whole deck around him. But regardless, as I've said, very interesting design, and I value interesting designs very, very, very highly. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for enjoying. If you find my content elucidating, enlightening, or enriching, the best way to let me know is with a subscribe down below, and hopefully join the Discord. I really appreciate. I love my Discord users so much. It's so fun just constantly being able to info dump at people about this friggin' game. I have been your host, D, also known as MTF Doom. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.